So you think the universe is talking to you? Well, congratulations. You've just joined the ranks of schizophrenics, fortune cookie enthusiasts, and people who find deep meaning in their morning toast patterns. Welcome to the club. Membership is free, but your dignity costs extra. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that reality, the same reality that gave us traffic jams, dental work, and reality TV, is constantly whispering sweet nothings in your ear through, what? License plate numbers? The fact that you keep seeing 1111 on your digital clock? Here's a thought experiment for you, Einstein. Maybe you see 1111 so often because you check your phone every 5 goddamn minutes like a lab rat pressing a cocaine button. It's not the universe sending you messages, it's your dopamine addiction wearing a mystical costume. The Great Coincidence Con game. You know what synchronicities really are? They're the universe's way of saying, I'm sorry your education system failed you so spectacularly that you need to find meaning in random events instead of creating it yourself. It's like this: you're walking through life with the observational skills of a turnip, completely oblivious to 99.9% of everything happening around you. Then suddenly, boom! You notice two unrelated things happening close together, and your brain, desperate for any kind of pattern in the chaos of existence, screams holy shit, the cosmos is speaking to me. No, Kevin. The cosmos isn't speaking to you. Your brain is just doing what brains do, finding patterns where none exist, like seeing faces in clouds or Jesus in a grilled cheese sandwich. The ancient wisdom shuffle. Oh, and let's talk about this: ancient civilizations knew this bullshit. You know what ancient civilizations also knew? That you could cure disease by drilling holes in people's heads, that the earth was flat, and that women were basically defective men with interesting plumbing. Just because something is old doesn't make it true. Dog shit is older than the internet, but I don't see you turning to it for life advice. Although, given some of the spiritual guidance floating around these days, maybe you should. The ancients didn't have Netflix, antibiotics, or the scientific method. They had a lot of free time, powerful hallucinogens, and a desperate need to explain why their crops kept dying. Of course they saw patterns everywhere. It beats admitting you don't know jack shit about agriculture. The reticular activating system, or how your brain became a stalker. Here's where it gets beautiful. These synchronicity salesmen actually stumbled onto something real, the reticular activating system. But instead of understanding what it actually does, they've turned it into some kind of mystical frequency tuner. Your RAS is like a bouncer at the club of your consciousness. It decides what gets in and what gets left outside to freeze in the cold. Buy a red Honda, and suddenly every other car on the road is a red Honda. It's not because red Hondas are multiplying like rabbits in heat, it's because your brain finally decided they were worth noticing. But no, we can't just appreciate this incredible feat of neuroscience. We have to dress it up in cosmic significance, like putting a tuxedo on a hot dog. Oh, the universe is responding to my vibrations. No, Sharon, your brain is just doing its job while you're taking credit for something you had as much control over as your last bowel movement. The quantum bullshit buffet. And don't get me started on the quantum physics angle. These people have taken the most complex, counterintuitive field of science and turned it into a spiritual all-you-can-eat buffet. The observer affects reality, they cry, completely ignoring that quantum effects happen at scales so small that you'd need a microscope the size of Jupiter to see them. You're not affecting reality by observing it, champ. You're about as quantum mechanically significant as a fart in a hurricane. The universe isn't rearranging itself because you really want to find a parking spot. If consciousness controlled reality at the macro level, don't you think someone would have figured out how to consciousness their way out of paying taxes by now? The vibration vacation. Everything is energy. Everything vibrates. Yeah, so does your washing machine, but I don't see you meditating with it on spin cycle. You want to know what's vibrating? Your phone, because you keep getting notifications from spiritual gurus selling you courses on how to align with the universe. Here's the thing about vibrations: the only frequency you need to tune into is 440 Hz, that's the note A, and it's more musically useful than anything these cosmic DJs are spinning. The synchronicity sales pitch. Notice how every one of these synchronicity sermons ends the same way? There's so much more I can't share here. Sign up for my academy, buy my book, unlock the secrets they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know? Who's they? The International Council of Coincidence Suppressors? The Bureau of Pattern Prevention? Maybe it's just that most rational people recognize the difference between meaningful connection and random chance, and they're not trying to make a buck off your existential confusion. The trust fall of faith. Trust the process. Follow the signs. Act on intuition. You know what? Sometimes intuition is just indigestion with a spiritual advisor's license. Sometimes that sign pointing you in a new direction is just a literal sign pointing toward the restroom. And sometimes that meaningful coincidence is just life being weird, because life is inherently weird, chaotic, and utterly indifferent to your personal growth journey. The real synchronicity. Here's the ultimate synchronicity. In a universe of 13.8 billion years, on a planet of 8 billion people, you happen to be born at exactly the right time to be marketed spiritual snake oil through a device that fits in your pocket. The cosmos didn't arrange this to guide your soul. Zuckerberg's algorithm arranged it to guide your wallet into someone else's hands. The real pattern here isn't cosmic consciousness, it's economic opportunism with a mystical marketing strategy. It's the same old "you are special and the universe revolves around you" message repackaged for people who think they're too smart to fall for traditional religion but apparently not smart enough to recognize the same psychological manipulation wearing a lab coat and speaking in quantum buzzwords. The bottom line. Look, if believing that the universe is personally invested in your happiness helps you get through the day without setting yourself on fire, knock yourself out. Just remember, the same cosmic intelligence supposedly guiding you through license plate numbers also gave us natural disasters, pandemic diseases, and people who don't use turn signals. Maybe, just maybe, you don't need the universe to validate your choices. Maybe you're capable of making decisions, recognizing opportunities, and creating meaning in your life without cosmic customer service. And maybe, just maybe, the only synchronicity you really need to pay attention to is the one between your brain, your choices, and your willingness to take responsibility for both. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who thinks patterns in toast are more likely to indicate the need for a new toaster than a message from the divine. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to go check if my coffee mug is trying to tell me something profound about existence. The handle's pointing east, that's gotta mean something, right? P.S. The real joke? You read this whole thing looking for synchronicities, didn't you? That's not the universe talking, that's your pattern-seeking brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. The only difference is now you know it, and knowledge, unlike cosmic vibrations, is actually useful. Remember, in the immortal words of Carl Sagan, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Seeing the same number twice is not extraordinary, it's Tuesday.